Hi, I'm Christina, founder and creative director here at Femmes Sans Peur. Welcome to Fearless Women Wednesday. I'm so excited to bring you this new series featuring women that I will be interviewing each week that are stylists, celebrities, creative directors, and women who are just killing it in their industries. Through their stories, I hope that you will not only be empowered, but inspired as well. Oh, and they love FSP too. So join me in welcoming our first guest, Style Director of the Daily Mail, Pandora Amoratis. Just waiting for Pandora to join us. Thank you for the love from Morocco.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Yay!
I was so nervous that I wasn't going to be able to figure it out.
Yes, I tested this too yesterday. So happy to see your beautiful face. Thank you so
I'm
much
so
for joining
happy
us.
to see you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you look beautiful. Did you get a new hairdo? Do you have curly hair to begin with?
This is my real hair.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah, thanks.
Great 70s glamour.
I feel like, I don't know, I flip-flop between this and the straight, but I feel like with the pandemic, it's been curly more than straight.
Got it. Well, it suits you. So
Thank you.
let's get started with our Fearless Women Wednesday questions.
Okay.
So you worked for a number of well-known publications, including Cosmopolitan, Self, OK Magazine, and now the Daily Mail. Did you
Yeah.
always, and how do you feel your previous roles have shaped who you are today as the style director for the Daily Mail?
Okay, so to answer the first part, yes, I've always wanted to be in fashion. Ever since I was a little girl, that was literally the only thing that interested me. And I never thought to do anything other than fashion. And then the second part of your question, yeah, for me, every single job like built onto the next one. It was kind of crazy how that happened. And so kind of my career turned into something that I never expected it would be, because everything, it was like building blocks. Like my first job, I focused on the clothing, and then the next job, it was like model booking. And then the next job, it was like I was pulling all the clothing, I was booking all the models, and then I was, photo scouting and whatever, doing all that. And then the next job, it was like I was doing all of those things, like, and producing and writing the copy. So it was literally like, yeah.
That's definitely a lot to take on, but I'm sure you've done along the way.
Yeah, yeah.
All
And
right,
then I think now it's kind of like all of that led me to the Daily Mail, because it was like, okay, now like 20 plus years of experience has brought me to this place,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got a little glitch going on.
No, sorry. Is it me?
All right. So how do you describe your personal aesthetic?
Okay, that's like such a hard question for me to answer, because I feel like I have multiple personalities when it comes to that, which is why I have way too many things. Like my closet is full to the brims with like different fashions. But I would say my top three, I like to look like I'm going on vacation, which is like, it could be like 40 degrees. I don't care, whatever, winter in Manhattan, and I'm wearing like a floral kimono, So I like to look like I'm on vacation. But then I also really like band tees with like jeans and like a motorcycle jacket. I also really like the whole like lingerie as outerwear
Yeah.
Like the picture that you have of me, like that wasn't me just lounging in my house like I was about to go to work. So those are, I would say, my top three aesthetics. And then I would say like the one, like maybe thread that's uh, consistent is that I like to do it in some kind of a sexy way, whether it's like, an off the shoulder, a plunging neck, a backless thing. Yeah, like girly, I guess, feminine.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if I had to describe you, I would have said like feminine, bohemian, rocker chic.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
But always glamorous. Okay.
Thanks.
So, do you have a fashion mantra? And if so, what is it?
I don't necessarily have a mantra, but I mean, maybe this is a mantra, but I guess like dress to impress. For me, I feel like there's a lot of power in clothing, and what you choose to put on your body says so much. Like, you know, it says a lot about who you are even before you open up your mouth, especially with people that you're just meeting for the first time. Um, and I feel like, you walk out your door, you don't know who you're going to bump into, what's going to happen, you know, so I feel like you kind of just always have to look your best. And one time I was at one of my girlfriend's apartments, and she was taking forever to get ready. And I was like, we're just going downstairs. Like, what are you doing? And she was like, I mean, life might happen. Life might happen. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Like, you never know what's going to happen when you walk out your door. So I feel like you should be ready with it and looking your best, feeling your best to be able to like,
It's in New York City. This is so true. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. All right. So, is there a particular moment in your career that has stayed with you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot, of course. I'll say one from the beginning and one from now. So very beginning, it was like my second week into my first job, and my first job was at Cosmopolitan. And it truly was like the second week. And the editor-in-chief was Bonnie Fuller at the time, and she had brought everybody into the conference room to announce that she was leaving the magazine and she was going to Glamour. And everyone went crazy, like, but me. Like, I was too green to know what that meant.
Right.
Like, I didn't know that meant a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I didn't know that meant she was going to take half the people with her. Like, I didn't know that meant that there were going to be some major changes. And because of that, I was the only one that didn't freak out. And I kind of just continued doing my job. And then when the new editor-in-chief came, which was Kate White, I felt like I kind of just welcomed her with open arms and, was eager to see what she was going to do, what changes she was going to make. And that in turn then opened up like different opportunities for me. And I think the fact that I just rolled with it because I didn't know any better really helped me. And it's weird because I ended up having to deal with this so many times throughout my career. Like, it's really common in publishing for, an editor-in-chief or some kind of top-tiered person to leave.
Right.
And that causes big changes. And truly throughout my entire career, that has never really shook me because it happened the second week of my first job, and I definitely learned a lesson from that. And so when it did happen multiple times afterwards, I just knew how to handle it and roll with it.
Exactly.
And not to be afraid of it, because it could open up different doors and more opportunities. And then I would say more recently, Daily Mail also has Daily Mail TV. It's on Channel 11 in New York at 3 o'clock and 3:30. And I think it was 2 seasons ago, we won an Emmy.
Oh my God.
It was like the second season, I think. Like, I don't know, I'm bad with time. Or maybe even the first season. I don't know, but it was a huge, big deal that we won an Emmy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so I have an Emmy.
Oh my God. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's at my parents' house. They have it like in their living room, and it's like when people come over, they're like, look at our daughter's Emmy." Like,
I love that. Okay, where am I? Sorry, I'm a little blurry now. We all know the little black dress, but
yeah.
is there anything in your mind that is a staple that a woman should have in her wardrobe?
Yes, there's a more than three.
All right,
But
hear it.
number one, I would say, which isn't an obvious for most women, I would say the caftan. I have a lot of them. I love them because there's so much that you can do with them. It's like you can, of course, wear it over a bathing suit and take it on vacation. Or I've been wearing them like throughout the pandemic when I was working from home. I went through a phase where I was just wearing caftans because I felt more glamorous in them.
Yeah.
Like you can wear them with jeans, you can tuck them in. I feel like, and there's something about a caftan that like right when you put it on, you feel amazing. Like I have a friend, her name is Asa, and she has a line called Asa Caftans. And she says that, you're a goddess, like everyone looks like a goddess in a caftan. And she's absolutely right. Like you put it on and you just feel better. Like, I don't know.
Flattering.
Yeah, and they're flattering, exactly, like for all body types, body shapes, like, and they're always like a fun color or print, so they just make you happy. So that I would say number one. Number two, a motor or some kind of leather jacket for sure. Obviously, a killer pair of heels. But I would say a killer pair of heels, but then also like your go-to pair that's comfortable that you can wear all night, but that also look really good.
Yes.
And then I would also say a dress that like you kill in. No matter what, like let's say you have a last minute date or like something, you can throw on this dress and it's gonna wow. And
Yeah.
I would say that maybe it shouldn't be black. Maybe it should be white, maybe it should be red, like some kind of other color, because everybody has a black dress,
True.
Yeah.
You want something that you wear, not let the dress wearing you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Where does inspiration often strike you?
God, I would say like in the weirdest places. I feel like a lot of my best ideas happen kind of when I'm sleeping. Like, when you wake up in the morning and like you're kind of still asleep, but you're awake, like that in between. I don't even know how many minutes it is. That's the time where I'm like figuring out all this stuff. I'm remembering things. I'm thinking of things. I think it's like when I least expect it, that's when I get creative and I think of something good.
Yeah.
When I'm not trying.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that when my head hits the pillow, my brain is like going, and I get all these ideas coming to me. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be sleeping now.
Yeah.
All right. What has been the most noteworthy interview in your career to date?
That's a really, really hard question. Because I feel like I have interviewed so many people at this point. Whether it's an athlete, a rock star, an actress, at some point, these people have all come out with a fashion or beauty line. Like,
Right.
it doesn't matter what their profession is. At some point, they're going to have an awesome, like dress collection. So that's given me a lot of opportunities to interview like J-Lo, Rihanna. I don't like you name it. I've probably interviewed them. Off the top of my head, I would say, well, okay. So another thing is like, and say like a J-Lo, obviously you come around her and you're like, oh my God, it's J-Lo. But you kind of get past that really quickly and you kind of forget what you talked about or whatever, But for me, the best interviews have been ones that I left being like, oh my God, like that person really moved me, or that person just said something that like I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And oddly enough, actually, so like on Instagram where you get like a reminder, like what happened last year or whatever.
Yeah.
So this morning, the one that I got was a reminder from 4 years ago. And it was Betsy Johnson. And, so like for me, I think I want to say I wore a Betsy Johnson dress to like my 8th grade dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally still have the dress. Like I wore it as an adult to a wedding one time.
I love
because it's like an epic dress. But that's kind of who she was for me, like someone that I grew up with. I didn't really know her. This was the first time I had met her, and it was 4 years ago. And I guess because I didn't know anything personal about her, I didn't know how the interview was going to go. And she was incredible. It's like she's been in this business so long. She could have just been like over it and mean and like, instead, she was the kindest, nicest person. And like, I felt like with everything that I asked her, she kind of brought it back to like a human emotion. And it was like, yeah, she's been so successful. But then she would talk about, something that meant more than that. Mm-hmm. Like something about, she was like, you always have to be nice, like be nice to people. And like, everything was very heartfelt. And I walked away from it being like, I am obsessed with Betsy Johnson. Like we were like hugging. She was like inviting me to her home in Mexico. I was like,
God,
Betsy Johnson. Yeah. So it really for me it explained like even more so her longevity in the business. It was like, okay, she's a really creative person and all that stuff, but she's also like a joy of a human being. And I feel like that has really served her throughout her entire career,
Okay, so
yeah.
First of all, growing up, Betsy Johnson was like my fashion icon. Yeah. I had so many of her things. I always went to her sample sales. And at my 21st birthday dinner with my parents, my uncle, and his partner in the West Village, she walked by our dinner table and she had her dreadlocks. And I was like, was that just Betsy Johnson? Oh my God. And at the time, I was hand painting vintage shoes and selling them at boutiques around the city. And I was like, I have to go introduce myself. This could be my only opportunity. I'd love to intern for her or work for her when I get out of FIC. Yeah. So I had a card with me that was like from one of the boutiques featuring my shoe, and I wrote on it my information. And I walked up to her. It was like a table of 20 people. It was probably their Christmas party. And she was in a conversation with some woman, and I tapped them both on the shoulder, and I'm like, excuse me, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm like, Betsy, I absolutely love you. You're my fashion icon. This is my information. I really want to intern for you next semester. And if somebody interrupted me, I probably would have been a little like cold to them and be like, this is kind of rude. She, again, was so sweet and heartfelt, gave me the person's email to contact. Yeah. Both were like, Merry Christmas, happy birthday.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And like those are the things that you remember, you know what I mean? Like when I was speaking to her, she just really, there was a warmth about her that just like, I just fell in love with her. And those are the kind of interviews that mean the most to me,
Mm-hmm. I think
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Right, moving on. Your 5 Ways To series on Instagram has been filled with super fun and informative style tips. What inspired you to create that series?
Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, I just had the time. I feel like those are the kind of things that I've always wanted to do on my Instagram. But my job has kept me just so busy all of the time. And I guess so one of the things that has been the biggest change in my job since the pandemic has been no events, like not go. So my normal day to day would be like going to the office, maybe going to some previews, like designer previews, and then hitting up multiple events each night. So I've been literally doing that for years. So this was just like the first time where I was like sitting home without anything to do, after a work day or on a weekend. And I definitely, for me, the pandemic or like working from home and not being able to do anything has been nice in the sense that like on the weekends I'm not exhausted, you know, so I could actually use the weekends to do something productive or yeah. But I liked doing the videos a lot, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do because I've also since moved, and my new apartment is completely different than the old one, and the light isn't as good, so I haven't figured out how I'm going to do the videos. But
I hope so. Boy, some cool style tips too.
Thank you.
All right. What has been your greatest form of escapism during the pandemic? Would you have said it was that series or is it something else?
I would say so. I don't know, not I don't know how this is going to sound, but I took up meditating during the pandemic, and like, which was something that I've been wanting to do since like college, but never really embraced because I can't turn my brain off, which I feel like is what most people say. But I felt like during the pandemic, well, actually prior to that, I read a book by Dan Harris, who's um, he works for Good Morning America,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote a book called 10% Happier. And I don't even think I knew what the book was about. I just liked the title. I'll read it. 10% Happier. Yes, I'm in. And it was all about his discovery of meditation. So that was kind of the first thing that I read, and like he's laugh out loud funny. And so it made the idea of meditating a little bit more within my reach, like something that I could do. But I still didn't do it. And then during the pandemic, I was reading Alicia Keys's most recent book,
Mm-hmm.
and she talks about Kundalini
Yoga?
meditation.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, and yoga. And so that's when I was like, she sold it. She sold me on it. And I was like, okay, this I think I could do because it's a little bit more like physical and it's not just like sitting there and thinking
Yeah.
or trying not to think, you know? So that has been like a surprising thing for me. I didn't think I could actually do it, but it really is like a good form of escapism. And like, I've really enjoyed it. And now I am back in the office, like on rotation. And even on the days where I am going into the office, I still do it in the morning.
And do you feel like lighter, have more clarity, or your mood's better?
Yeah, all of the above.
That's awesome.
You know what? It kind of calms you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if something happens, instead of being like, I'm going to react right away, it like, I don't know how, but it actually makes you like stop and like think for a minute. And like, it's definitely something that betters your life.
So definitely
You know?
be more mindful about everything that's going on.
Yeah. And I'm only doing it for 10 minutes a day. I'm not like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely have to try that.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you usually unwind?
The TV. Yeah. Like I'd love to say that it's like reading, but it's not. I'm like, I need my 90 Day Fiance. I need like all my like reality shows and stuff. But yeah, I feel like when I come home, that's the first thing I do is I just put on the TV and like veg and yeah.
Are you a beer, wine, or cocktail gal? What's your go-to?
All of the above. I would say if I were to rate it, it would be wine first, cocktail, then beer.
Me too. All right. What are the 3 things that you can't live without?
Like physical things.
They could be anything, but I would typically mean physical, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because if it were like obvious, it's like my mom, my dad. Physical, I don't know, not much other than like my phone. I feel like if I don't have my phone, I'm completely lost. I would say coffee. I need coffee like each day to really start the day. Dry shampoo.
That's an important one.
Yeah. I also have I have this like I can't show it to you because we're on my phone right now, but on the case of my phone, I have a like a mirror and it's like a stick-on thing where you could take it off and put it on another phone or whatever.
Ooh.
And seriously, Yeah, it's a game changer because it's like where whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, like it's on your phone. You can just like check your lipstick, check your eyeliner, check your.
I
I'm
love.
surprised. I don't know like why more people don't have them.
I need that in my life because I always have something in my eye. So my
Yeah.
little like mirror compact in Paris. I think it's like Donald Duck on it or something, and I was like, where did the Disney store to get this? But it's super.
You need a new one.
All right, what is your number one style hack?
Oh, um, okay. So I love hats. And I love when I travel, I love to bring hats, like no matter where I go. But you know, traveling with a hat sucks. Like it's not easy. Like you either have to wear it or you're gonna squish it in your luggage. Um, and wearing it, you know, like if you're in Manhattan in the middle of the winter, like I don't know, I don't really want to put a straw hat on my head when I'm going to the airport or whatever, you know. Um, and so actually there is something on the market that I thought was so genius and I don't know what it's called, but the girl who created it, I'm pretty sure she used to be a stylist. Her name is Lindsay Albanese.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically just like it looks like a keychain and it hooks onto your luggage and your hat essentially.
Oh,
So I
okay.
saw it and I was like, I have to have this thing. But of course it like sold out like
Of course.
right away, you know, and I was like, but I need it, you know? So I think I was going to California and I went to California and I was at one of my girlfriends who has a baby and um, the baby had one of those things that I don't know what it's called, but it hooks on to the pacifier and like their outfit.
Oh,
So it like hooks onto the outfit and then you know,
yeah.
and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, this part has like a clamp and this part has like a loop. And I was like, wait a second here. So since that day, which was like, I don't even know, a year or two ago, I've been doing this. So basically, it's the baby pacifier hook,
I love it.
whatever that's called. So you take the hook part, and that's the part that you hook onto your luggage. And like, I'm not describing it well, but when you see it, you'll know what I mean. So you hook that onto the handle of your luggage, and then the part that's the clip that would clip onto the baby's clothes, that fits perfectly on a hat. And so like the hat just like lays on the outside of like your carry-on luggage. And like it works. It works like a charm. Like it's
Amazing. I've had
yeah,
this thing where I'm wearing my big straw hat and I'm like, oh, it's taking up space. It's going to get squished if I put
yeah,
it on.
yeah. I actually, you know what? The first time I ever did this, I was like, I think this was my first video ever. And I was like, I have to do a video on this because people need to know that they can do this. So it's on my Instagram. It's probably like a year ago on my Instagram if you want to scroll down. I was in Mexico and I was like before I went to the airport.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been so many picturesque places. Where I'm like, take us with you. Where is your favorite place and why?
I would say two places really close to my heart. One would be Lake Como in Italy. Um, it was absolutely breathtaking. Uh, it just everything, it was just so picturesque. I was with such like a beautiful group of people. The food was amazing. Um, it really was like a pinch me kind of trip. And to prove that, it rained every day
Oh,
and
yeah.
it still was like one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. So that I think says a lot. If it's raining every day and I'm still like, yeah, it's the best.
Definitely.
Um, so that would be one. And then another would be I've done a lot of cross country trips and like in my early 20s and I had done a trip and while I was on the trip I I noticed so in all like the state parks and all that stuff throughout the country um the most of the employees they're there for the summer and they're from like all over the world. I mean, maybe not now, but pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I was like, wait, that's the coolest thing. Like, I want to work at one of these parks. And they all had like these name tags that said like their name and where they were from. And I was like, I want a name tag that says Pandora, New Jersey on it. I think I'm going to do that. And I want to say I was at Mesa Verde at the time. And so I literally did that, like maybe like 6 months later, I quit. I was 25. I was in my career. I was working at Self Magazine. I left and I went and moved to Yellowstone National Park and I lived there. Yeah. And I lived there, for like a full season. And like, it was all because I just went on this cross country trip and was like, I need more of this. Like I need to do this.
That's incredible. Josh and I were supposed to go to Yellowstone in May for our wedding anniversary. We were going to go to Monterey, Big Sur, and Yellowstone. And
Well, you have to do it.
Yes, we have to do it. I was like a dream of mine to go up the California coast and then see all the animals and the beauty, you know.
It really is life-changing, especially because I feel like most Americans, it's like we travel all around the world. We go to all these other places but there's so many beautiful things to see like here in our own country, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a backup career?
No. I don't. I mean, other than I am very like crafty. I like to make things. I've always been that way. So I would say either I would want to collaborate with brands. I've done that before where I've like designed a jewelry line for a brand. So something like that. Or like making seashell necklaces on the beach.
I love it. I can totally see you doing that. And you always have the most fabulous jewelry I've ever seen.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. As you know, here at FSP, we dress from the ground up, letting our shoes of choice dictate our outfit for the day. How long does it take you on a normal day to get dressed in the morning, or do you choose your outfit the night before? And are your shoes chosen first or last when putting a look together?
I do it the night before. If I don't, I feel like I get into trouble that morning. I like freak out, and then my apartment is a disaster because there's clothes everywhere. How long does it take? That depends. It depends on what I'm doing that day, like, you know, what I'm getting dressed for. But the thing that's so annoying is I feel like the best outfits are always the ones that you like put together in 3 seconds. And then the ones that you think so hard about are the ones that are like, you're like, oh, I want to go home and change.
I feel like that's like with most things in life.
Yeah. Don't
think about that you just grab, you wear all the time. And ones you really think about, you wear like twice.
Yeah. And then wait, what was it? The shoes?
The shoes. Do you choose them before or after you choose the clothes?
So I usually choose them after, unless if it's like a statement shoe that I'm like, all right, today I'm wearing these shoes, like I have to wear these shoes, then I'll of course do that first.
And I'm going to celebrate them.
Yeah.
So you own our Sadira Crystal Hummingbird mules in mesh. Do they fit your mood when you're wearing them?
They totally do. I literally, when I look down, I smile at these shoes. They're just they're the prettiest flats I have like ever seen. I love that they're like a slipper. They're like this they're not casual. They're like a formal slipper. You know, like
that's what I call them.
What do you call them?
Elevated casuals.
Yeah, totally
like
that.
Slipper you can wear anywhere and dress it up and dress it down kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what? I would say literally the only thing that makes me sad about them, and it's a good thing, is that I love them so much. And I am such a heel person. I definitely wear more heels than I do flats, that sometimes when I look down, I'm like, I really need these in heels too.
Well, we have a version in heels, the elite.
Like, I think I have to get them because they're just so good. And I think that part of the reason I really, at the time, wanted a beautiful flat because I wasn't wearing flats as often as I should. So I'm so happy that I have them, but I often look at them and think to myself, oh my God, these in a heel.
Yeah,
Just like kill life in these, you know?
definitely. All right. So our last question. Do you have advice for young women or persons who are dreaming of being in fashion or the fashion editorial world?
Yes. Um, my first one would be obviously that you have to work really hard at it. I think it's the type of profession that like a lot of girls want to do that, you know? Um, for me, because I knew it was something I always wanted to do, I was interning, you know, since my freshman year in college, I was interning at magazines.
Mm-hmm.
I think I interned every single summer. So I feel like it takes like that kind of dedication and that kind of focus, especially because in the beginning it's so hard, um, that it's easy to give up. And the only way that you won't is if you just like want it so bad, you know? So like you really have to want it. You really have to work hard at it. And then I would say once you're there, to quote Betsy Johnson, I would say, you know, be nice. Like you have to be nice. I think one thing that I've really learned throughout my career is that, and this extends to, you know, all businesses, you know, people want to work with people that they like to have around. You know, they don't want to work with someone who's mean or, you know, difficult or, I think it goes a long way if you're pleasant, you know, and if you're asked to do something, I would love to do that. Like,
Right.
yes, you know, like I'm not saying being a pushover or anything like that, but like, I think kindness goes a long way, you know, in life and definitely in the workforce.
Well, I
And I would say, oh, so sorry to interrupt. I would say that think like the industry has changed so much when I started. I mean, I started in 1998, so like, you know, we didn't even have computer, like, you know, like it's like it's changed so much, but I would say that the advice that I just shared like is timeless. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah.
uh,
Um,
I interned every semester in college as well because I wasn't sure what I wanted to go into, and I agree that
yeah,
work definitely pays off. And kind of
yeah,
because I don't want to work with anybody who is not pleasant.
right, right. And that's such a good, to your point, that's such a good way to like figure it out if you don't know. So
Definitely.
were any of those places at shoe companies?
For internships, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Was one of them, and I really actually liked working for them. I was working for Kenneth Cole Ladies Sport at the time, so it wasn't so sport and reaction, which wasn't very like formal.
Right.
Awesome, and they all worked around a dining table, like a wooden dining table, set in a back corner in a room that was supposed to be a conference room. And I think Kenneth didn't want them working in there all the time, and they were just like kind of did what they want because they made the most money for the company.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, I had a number of internships. Also, Nylon Magazine was one of them, and you know, they culminated to where I am today.
right, right. I know it's kind of crazy how that happens, you know?
It really is. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a part of our Fearless Wednesday. We're so happy to have you. And we will have the series for all of you who might have missed it up on our IGTV in about an hour. So, Sarah, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It's cool to see people's comments too. I couldn't read them and talk at the same time.
Definitely love that Pandora kindness. All right, Chica, I'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.